right now. And
It's the Asia Cup, Wayne. Asia Cup,
oh,
not
the Asia Cup. Okay.
yes,
So is the Asia Cup, is there a World Cup, Mark? There
yes,
must,
yeah.
and
It's
is
coming
that
up.
big in
Yes,
the cricket world? Is World Cup bigger than the Asia Cup?
right. The World Cup. See, a lot of teams like Australia, New Zealand, England, they'll be in. So these are strong teams.
Right. Okay. And so Australia, it would not be in it in the Asia
In the
Cup.
Asia, right? Correct.
Okay. By the way, we lost a customer, Mark.
Others,
Whoever's the guy, the otter. Yeah, we only have Levi's
we
here
have
now.
Levi. Yes.
Yeah, I was just checking that out. All right. Well, so this is the Asia Cup, and Bangladesh lost to Pakistan. Which, if Arib was here, we could have a nice little argument between Arib and
Yeah,
Mark. Although I doubt it'd be an argument. I mean, Mark has already said that Pakistan was
it's a better
probably
team. Yeah.
so. It's not like this was an upset from Pakistan. Um, so who will be favored in the finals?
I think India is favorite. So they have, yeah, they have more international quality players in both batting and pitching in all departments.
Okay.
So, yep.
And this is for everybody else, you don't know much about this sport, probably if you're from the US, because we're not a country that does it that much. But for all the rest of us, and I keep saying that I'm going to get Mark or Arib to teach me about cricket, and they haven't done it yet. So, but it's not their fault. I just haven't taken the time. And this is the long format. So these are day-long games or longer. Is that right, Mark? I mean, they could go longer than a day, right? Or
Yeah,
it's
some formats go for 5 days, and yeah, there are three types of format. Like one is the short one, which lasts for like 4 hours,
yeah.
and then one lasts for a day, so that's the 1 day game, and then the Test cricket that's for 5 days.
And is there a World Cup type of event, a world championship for the 5-day type event?
No, there
No.
isn't. No. Yep, we have 1 day World Cup, and then we have T20 World Cup. So both formats.
Okay. So that's going on. And when is the finals? How many days will they take a break now before they play the finals?
Finals will be on the 28th, Sunday.
Fresh is here today, so we
Yeah,
can get the Indian perspective on it. So
right.
is India favored over Pakistan, Paresh? He can write
If
it
he's
in.
a, yeah, he can write. If he's a cricket fan, I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
So it's India's at best nowadays. Okay, Paris says India is the best. Okay, I'll
Our
bet.
our would Asia Cup is ongoing, yeah. That's what we were talking about right before you came on. Wow, we've got the Alaskan on today too. Doug Ness is on with us. We haven't had Doug for a little
Right.
while, and we do need to get him before he leaves Alaska, which isn't going to be too long. If Doug wants to be unmuted, Mark, go ahead and unmute him.
Yeah. If he wants to, he can. I just unmuted him.
Yeah. So Doug, just jump in if you can, if you like. How long you guys staying up there?
I'll be leaving the end of next week for a month, and then I come back up here for a month and a half again, then go back.
And Marge?
Marge will come up in November. We have family things going on back home there, so she's busy with that right now.
Oh, so she is in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, she's in Minnesota for a week or two, and then comes back to Idaho, and then I'll be back there too. And
Okay.
then I get my hip replaced there before Christmas, so got to get everything planned out in an old age.
And how many is this your first joint replacement?
No, I've had my back, fourth and fifth cervical fused, my both shoulders worked on, and a replacement of the hip, left hip, and a replacement of the right knee. So I still have some parts and pieces left to go yet.
I didn't, we haven't talked about that. Guys, Doug and I are pretty good friends, but we have not talked about this particular subject. I am so blessed, Doug. I'm not there yet with any joints. And Doug knows this, but others of you too. I'm pretty darn active. So it's not like I just sit around and would not be putting any pressure or stress on any joints. God,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I'm going to just say that. It's just, I have had amazing, luck with my joints, or maybe I've treated them all right too. I know I haven't. That's a bunch of bull. I haven't treated my joint. Just this last weekend, I was at a dog event at milepost 9, Doug, on 95. So 9 miles into Idaho from Oregon, which
Yeah.
is the Oahes. I wouldn't call that quite yet the Oahe Mountains. You have to go a little farther east over to where Silver City is to really be what would be called the mountains. Altitude 4,200, I think, right where we were at.
Yeah.
But very rugged. And I was the only one with one other gentleman that did it once. I did it twice, that walked for this event. Everyone else was on horses. And I also did what's called a brace on a horse. But so it's not like I avoid going in places that have some kind of rugged terrain to them. And I didn't stumble this week. I almost always will stumble once or twice and end up on my face or on my side or something, but didn't do that this time. What will your recovery time? And since you've had so many of these types of things, Doug, has our medicine gotten any better, and can you recover more quickly than the first of your joint or major body part surgeries that you had done?
Yeah. Mainly, it's your physical condition. I'm in pretty good physical condition, being up here. It's a quite rigorous lifestyle, so that really aids in your recovery, and then your mental attitude too. I have a reason why I want to get better, so I can keep doing what I'm having fun with up here, and that's a real push. It's a drive, and I think some people, as we get older, lose that drive and naturally, but unless they have really gets back to the old-fashioned thing, a dream and a vision, and really a purpose why they want to keep going and doing, it makes it pretty hard. I've had friends of mine that haven't done well with their surgeries. I've done very, very well with mine. Matter of fact, the hip I had a few years ago, I don't even know anything happened. I have arthritis that shows up, and so some is worse than others. But I'm just really fortunate that the doctors that are able to take care of this. I have the BSU football doctor that does all my joints, so I got one of the best. When he does mine, he'll do 5 of those in a day. And for the football players, so there's a lot to it. Just attitude and condition, and I've always been pretty active and hard pushing, and I think that makes a big difference. And what your purpose is there.
So once this is done and you recover, were there things that you'll be able to do that you didn't do this summer because of it? I mean, was it constraining enough that there are certain things you didn't do?
Mine kind of comes and goes, and so if you a lot of the things I could do and still do, and actually is important to kind of push it just because to keep your muscle tone and everything going. And but there'd be times when you put it the wrong way and you would hit the arthritis, and it'll almost set you down. But my balance is good and everything like that. So I'll just be able to have more stamina throughout the day because you're not dealing with the pain. The pain kind of tires you out. And so, a couple of days and you're up walking pretty good. In a month, you're doing really good. In 2 months, you're back to normal again with the
So
hip.
one person that you and I both know well, and he's been on this webinar, he's here in the what we call the Treasure Valley for everyone else, where Doug and I, where Doug spends a portion of his year, probably equal portions in Alaska and here. I spend much more of my time here, but Russ, Doug is not doing very well, and not joint related now this time. This is he has something that is really negatively affecting his vision, and they ultimately now have reached the conclusion medically that it's called myasthenia gravis. And I have not studied that disease. It's not cancer. It's not a growth. It is something that is reducing the muscular ability of his eyes, and therefore not allowing them to focus appropriately. So therefore, he is basically by about noon blind, and would be considered legally blind right now. So Doug and I both have some pretty considerable spirituality in our lives, and I know a lot of you do in yours. So I'll ask everybody to do what they do best. Pray, in my case, to pray to my God, and to pray to Jesus Christ and my Lord. But anyway, Russ is not doing well, Doug. I mean, and it isn't so much just physically. This is a guy who also, like Doug, has been very active, like me, his whole life, and he is mentally and emotionally drained pretty considerably, even though he's still got everything, in terms of his mental acuity, and maybe that's not the best of things even right now, but because of his physical issues. And I guess this myasthenia gravis is terminal, and it isn't necessarily fast. He could still have another 5 years, they say, but when it hits your lungs, I guess then it doesn't allow your lungs to breathe, to move, because of what the muscular activity it does, I guess. So, and then that's when it can be terminal. Anyway, pray for him. By the way, again, it's our Talk with Wayne session, so I'd love to have, and we have a bunch of people in the audience, any of the others of you that would like to unmute and just put something in the chat and raise your hand, and Mark will unmute you. Before you came on, Doug, we were talking a little bit about cricket, because Mark's country, Bangladesh, and a number of our guests' countries, India, Pakistan, are playing in that, and they are down to the finals now, where it will be India versus Pakistan in the world. I'm calling it the World Cup, the Asia Cup. Let me get that right, which I guess is a very major tournament, and these people are rock stars in their countries, in terms of just their personality and how well they're accorded by other people and such. So, Doug, from changing the subject a little bit from a spirituality perspective, I learned recently, I knew it, but then I met him. Boise State's football coach, Spencer Danielson, is a very solid Christian human being, man, and spiritual, and he attends the place that we're going to, Awaken Church. So I met him at a early morning, 5:30 in the morning, prayer session that I went to. So anyway,
Excellent.
Neat guy.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good man.
Yeah, he has a great track record, personally and sports wise.
Right. Yeah. So, Alicia threw in something about Gabe Brown. We had a speaker, and by the way, I need to talk really briefly about that. We had a scheduled webinar with Ronald from Uganda on, is that Tuesday, Mark? Tuesday or Wednesday? Tuesday.
Monday.
Was it Monday?
Yes.
Monday. And he wasn't able to attend, and then wrote us a long email apologizing yesterday or Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, yesterday or Tuesday, because they're having political unrest in their country, and the government shut their internet down on Monday. They had no communications by internet. And I don't know whether they shut down voice communications also or what, but they were back online. And so we will reschedule Ronald. But Ronald is a scientist in Uganda and is active helping the less fortunate native populations in the country with food related issues. So we will get him back on at another time, but that was the reason that he missed. Well, anyway, because of that, we played a little bit of a video. I think we played 20 some minutes of it, didn't we, Mark? From Dan Brown. Dan Brown is an amazing guy in North Dakota who moved his farm from being very traditional fence row to fence row or fence to fence, wheat and barley and rice, not rice, wheat and barley, and just his dad was who he replaced, who he took over farming for. Excuse me, not his dad, his father-in-law. Dan Brown grew up in the city in North Dakota. His wife grew up on the ranch. And I should call it a ranch just because it's huge, 10,000 plus acres. And Dan has now, over the last, 30 years, Mark, converted it to where it is completely a regenerative,
no-till,
or improved no-till, all kinds of really excellent soil treatment. And he's an excellent speaker also. So we watched about 20 minutes of a 45-minute video, and I think Alicia put the URL back in, the YouTube URL back in the chat earlier in this session today. So we can. We won't play that today. I got actually plenty of other topics because one of them is a little bit negative, and Doug isn't aware of this, but we are not going to continue with our activities at Riggins Hot Springs, Doug. I have mentioned it to this group that possibility was going to exist. We are actually going to be done there the end of this month, which is just next week. And we've moved all of our equipment and everything that we had taken there out. And there's a lot of what we had to move out. And I consider it a failing on our part. We just weren't ready to pay the price that they had still kept it at. We tried to renegotiate and get a lower price because we just feel like we're way overpaying for it. Lots of the people that I use as advisors agreed and said that it was just greatly overpriced. And we were operating it under a lease for this year since November 1st of last year. So we're actually 11 months into our operations and now are not going to continue. A lot of sadness there. It's never fun to, quote, fail. And I look at it somewhat as a failure on our part. I worry about the place because I'm not sure that if the current owners don't reduce the price, that it's going to have anything good happen with it. It's just going to sit there. They're going to have a caretaker that comes on to it starting 2 weeks from now. Our caretaker, Joe, is going to stay there, and then he's going to move on back to a new place that I'm going to talk about, Doug. So my mention of Milepost 9 is not at all unusual because we are under contract, and I think this one is very unlikely that we will not purchase it because it is much cheaper and there's nothing on it. It is actually a completely vacant property. And I have talked about it the last couple of weeks a little bit, but it's at Milepost 5, which is closer to the Oregon border. And it is accessed by something called McBride Creek. And I'm only mentioning this to know maybe you hunted there sometime, Doug. Doug's been here in the state long enough. And McBride Creek is at one point was a paved road. I mean, it's still paved. There's still residual pavement. This site starts 2 miles off of 95 to the west, and is an L-shaped property. I'm not going to show the map of it today. I don't think. I think I showed a little bit, yes, last week about it, but there are no structures on it. However, historically, it was a little town called Rockville, and Rockville started in the 1860s, probably right after the Civil War. It was a stage stop for servicing the gold rush community in Silver City, which is there in the Owyhee Mountain area. And the stages would come there from the west or from even the south, California, Oregon. And there was a hotel there and probably a bar. There was a school. The school actually got moved over to a location over in Oregon, so it still exists. And it's not a school any longer, but as a historic building. And there's a cemetery on the property that remains, that's still there, on the property that we'll be buying and operating. And other than that, there's old wells. There's 2 old brick-lined 4-foot diameter wells that go down to groundwater. And we have not yet tested that. We are not convinced that it'll be real high quality. However, there is grazing and there are springs, and livestock graze and drink from the springs that are in the area. McBride Creek, which is supposedly has water in it for about 6 months of the year. It's dry right now, and I have not seen it wet. But it's pretty obvious from looking at its terrain that it is wet for a good, for half the year at least. Flows through a portion of the property. There are beautiful lava outcroppings, purplish rock color-wise, that are on one hillside. There isn't any of it of the 160 acres that isn't developable in terms of its slope. It's not steep like a lot of Riggins is. Let's see, there's another road that actually branches off of the McBride Creek Road to the east and goes through a portion of the property. Have you ever been on that road, Doug, McBride Creek?
Just once, and that's been quite a few years ago. It's been 15 years ago.
So I've been there 5 times now. It's an hour drive from my door, Doug. So it'd be closer even from your house. You go down to the turn off of Karcher Road and onto 95, and then it's just down. I think when Karcher hits 95 there, that's milepost 25, I believe. It's either 25 or 26. And so it's 19 miles down to or 20 down to milepost 5, which is McBride Creek. The closest neighbor is at the corner there, and it's the Wilson Ranch, and they are on the other side of 95, on the south side, and she has about 900 acres. And has cattle. They have 2 different reservoirs on McBride Creek on their property. This particular property does have water rights for stock water, and has what else that's right? Well, mineral rights. So we've actually filed the claim for mineral rights. And when I've been out there one time, there was a fella from Virginia that is a rock hound. They call people that are rock fanciers. And he was looking for two different kinds of rock. And Robert's asking, is McBride Creek 72 miles from Boise? That seems a little far, doesn't it, Doug? It's 38 miles from my house there. From my driveway there is 38 miles.
Yeah, it's 72.
That
That
seems
seems a
long.
little, yeah, that's a little longer. Yeah, I just have to check.
Yeah. I bet it's 60 something, but I mean that's in the ballpark, but that just seems a little too far. It would, if I would, drive on a 65-mile-an-hour road, I'd be there in 40 minutes rather than 58. So, but yes, McBride Creek is in that range, and it flows from Idaho into Oregon and then south. So it's flowing west into Oregon, and then it turns to the south, and it actually hits another river, bigger stream, and goes into Jordan Valley. How big is Jordan Valley, Doug? Is there shopping in Jordan Valley at all, or is
Yeah, yeah, there's a gas station there, there's a restaurant there, police department. There's services there in Jordan Valley, yeah.
okay? And the realtor that I'm dealing with says that there's probably pheasant hunting over there in Oregon. Decent. I mean, because when you look at the map from where McBride Keep goes over into Oregon and then just almost goes straight south, it does look very irrigated all along that area through there. I've not driven there yet. Not driven over there, so don't know that for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of ranches, a lot of grazing, alfalfa, some wheat, but a lot of alfalfa and grassland there.
Yeah.
But they get a lot harder winter there, so pheasants would have a little harder time out in the open there.
Yeah, again, we're about right. My house, we're at 2450 elevation, 450 or so. That this site is right under 4,000, 3970 or something, and that little 1,600 feet of elevation difference is enough to probably make it what, Doug, 10 degrees cooler in the winter.
Yeah, pretty easily. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So wildlife wise, I'm told by locals, including the guy that's the agent for BLM. So the closest private property to this site is that ranch I mentioned that's 2 miles away. The next closest is over in Oregon, and it would be about also 3 miles, and it's a guy named Hammett who is there. He actually has the grazing rights for the BLM land around this property. One of the first things we'll be doing is putting fencing up, because there's no fencing at all other than a fence that separates one BLM grazing allotment from another. And the grazing allotment that is adjacent to this private property that we'll be acquiring is one grazer, and the one on the other side of the allotment is another grazer. So there is a government built, I'm guessing, BLM built fence that actually crosses this property also. And I'm told that we are completely within our rights to leave that fence up if we want. The BLM will not then be maintaining it if we don't. And we would then fence our private property. And there's actually a little triangle of about 5 to 6 acres where our property will be on one side of the grazing allotment, and then the rest of the property is all on the other side of the grazing allotment that has this fence going through. So improvement wise, that's it. well, those wells, the two wells that I mentioned. Have you, because of maybe you're trapping or anything, what do you think I'm going to find in those wells, Doug, in terms of the water quality and maybe since this is the driest time of the year and they've got water, water's in them up to what would be, I'm guessing, what would be the groundwater level. So 2 feet below surface, the stream surface. And by the way, they're very close to the stream, to McBride Creek.
Yeah.
I'm guessing there wouldn't be any reason that would be contaminated water of any kind, right?
No, there wouldn't be because you haven't had much of any livestock activity there or any human activity. So that should be pretty representative of the groundwater flow
Right.
there. 'Cause you have their layers, your gravel layers that are the waters coming down the valley. Now
Yeah.
it should be water. Yeah.
I started to mention wildlife. We have, they supposedly can be some very trophy class pronghorns. I haven't seen a pronghorn yet, but maybe that's just because they're still up in the mountains, up higher elevation right
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
I have seen deer, and there's supposedly some nice mule deer there. Questionable on elk, although there's the Mrs. Wilson, the lady whose ranch is just, like I said, the closest neighbor, has said she's seen elk. She's never seen a mountain lion, which that surprised me. The guy from BLM, who's been there 10 years, says, "Oh yeah, there's mountain lion there." He said
Mhm.
there's probably wolves. He said you probably won't see them, but there probably are.
Yeah.
Um, and I haven't been there yet when there aren't Huns, and I haven't been there yet when there aren't Chukar. So from a game
Mhm.
side, and according to the BLM guy, there probably are sage hens. And they're protected this year. There's no season for them this year.
Yeah.
Um, so, but Chukar season started last Saturday, and there were a number of hunters that were camping on the BLM ground around there. So it must be, it's not steep at all like it is in the places around Riggins where there's a lot of Chukar, but much more walkable from a hunting perspective around there.
Mhm. Yeah, you have a number of bobcat population pretty strong in that area also,
Oh wow.
and coyotes, yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine the coyotes.
Yeah.
Anybody graze anything other than cattle anymore?
There's scattered sheep bands there.
Okay.
Some have, yeah. Uh-huh. Not as many as there used to be, but there are some out that way. Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
one last little health related thing, because I know our audience sometimes, so we don't have the youngest audience in the world. But I've had a little bit of what is, I think, a very good medical situation over the last 6 weeks, I guess. I had my left eye first, and then my right eye lenses replaced. So I have implants in both eyes now because of cataracts. And I literally yesterday, no, Tuesday, excuse me. So 2 days ago, for the first time since I was 5 years old, am not having to wear glasses when I'm awake, glasses or contacts. I am 2010 now in my eyes. I decided not to get the correction for reading. I can see letters of the right kind of a size still on reading size on my phone. Let's see, you can tell it this far away. If I get this close, it's getting a little blurry. So I said, you know what, I'll choose to wear cheaters, cheap reading glasses over a distance. So that's why I said, go ahead and keep it at 2010. they used a procedure called light activated lenses. And the reason that I had to continue to wear glasses for about 6 weeks was to keep UV light out, because the way they activate the lens, they shape it to get it exactly to where it works for me, is by using the ultraviolet light that they would put into me. And I've had 3 different times, and now I'm done. And so they locked me in on Tuesday, and now the eyes will be the way they are now, I guess, until I die. And I've talked to a lot of people, a lot older than me, that have had their eyes done, and they will last, supposedly. So I had no idea how blind I was becoming, Doug. You don't realize it. It was like I was living in a fog, honestly, and I didn't realize it. It just happened so gradually over time. I was still seeing colors, but obviously I wasn't seeing things as bright as they really are. Like this shirt, it would have looked a dull yellow to me. That red of the ribbon up there would have been a duller red. I was still seeing the difference between red and yellow, or different colors, but I wasn't seeing the like that. Maybe I wouldn't notice the difference of the green on those ribbons that are up behind me there. There's a lighter green, a couple of them that are lighter green. But I do now really vividly. Anyway,
I'm a couple years away from that.
What's that?
I'm just a couple years away from that.
Yeah, and don't worry about it. I mean, it is literally so harmless. Matter of fact, it was my eye doctor said when he told me that that he was going to recommend that I have it done, which was not, 3 months ago, maybe, or less. He said, "You're going to be happy about this once you have it happen. Don't worry about it. It's a good thing." So,
It's just such an amazing gifting that these doctors have, that they can do these just amazing medical procedures that allow us to continue operating a normal life. And I would have been a complete invalid had there not been a doctor like this. It's amazing. It is surely humbling, and it's pretty special gifting that they have, and kind of reminds me of Dr. Ben Carson, his gifting. And yeah, it's all amazing. One deal.
by the way, that made me think of something. I watched about a 45-minute video by Dr. Carson recently, just this week, about something that, now this is where the old person side of me comes in. I'm not remembering the topic. Oh, you know what? I do too remember it now. He's a spokesperson for a company I have mentioned the last couple of weeks. I haven't said anything about it today, called LifeWave, that does electronic water treatment. And excuse me, not LifeWave, that's PureWay. LifeWave does a number of different health-related, using patches. I don't have one on right now, but that will basically reflect UV that's leaving your body and infrared back into your body. And Dr. Carson is a spokesperson for this company, LifeWave. That's why I listen to him, and promotes their products, which are about 20 years old, and he's one of their spokespersons that obviously they probably pay him for it and such, but he does a very nice job, and he's a great man. Have you ever met him, Doug, or seen him speak live?
No, but I'm quite a avid follower of his work, and tremendous respect for him.
Yeah, this is LifeWave that Mark just put up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're not promoting that here at all, but there is a patch. They're about the size of a Band-Aid. She's got one on her wrist that you can see there, the backside. The guy that founded this company, David Schmidt, is a pretty amazing inventor, has got lots of inventions, but this is the one that's the most prominent, and I've been very impressed with their whole process anyway. I have one topic that I want to at least talk a little about today because it's relevant for this property in up in the mountains, the quote, the Owahis. It's really not mountains there, but and what we're going to do from a regenerative ag side, we're very likely going to have a combination of goats and alpacas there. And more likely for sure that here's the pictures Mark's putting up that I don't know that I showed this last time. I'm getting a notice saying my internet connection is unstable. But that is not the right view of it. It actually goes, the long part of the rectangle is going there to the other, yeah, and it's going the direction now that you see that's going to the left in this photo. That's McBride Creek Road. You know, one of our guests put up on the screen, Robert, I think, put something about Dead Horse Creek. So I'm going to put my cursor. You guys don't see it though because it's not. But the road going up to the top here is Dead Horse Road, and this is a little hill right here that is right about where the blue line. Mark, bring your cursor down. That road is where you're right at. That's elevated, maybe 100 feet higher than Dead Horse Creek, which is right down in the valley there. The Dead Horse Creek crosses that road a little bit above there, right there. That's Dead Horse Creek. And Dead Horse Creek goes along the edge, following this little hill, yep, right there. And then it flows into McBride Creek, right down where you see a lot of vegetation there. Yep, right there. And then McBride Creek is the creek that's here flowing in from the from what would be the south actually here. And then it's turning kind of south to almost straight west. So this portion of the L of this property is facing west. So go back to the picture that was right before this one, Mark. That's Oregon over there so that this is looking almost straight west. And then this is McBride Creek Road, that little circle, that's bigger than it looks. That's probably close to an acre in that little circle drive area there. And again, this road is, there's a bunch of other images. This comes right from the Zillow listing. So I found this on Zillow, and then I reached out to the realtor. There's 21 pictures, I think, here, Mark, so kind of just scroll through them. There you can see, this was taken in probably February or so, March. You can see the water in the creek, in McBride Creek. Yep, little ponds there. I don't know about wetting a line, Robert. It's not year round. We'll put some, if we can get approval for it, we'll put some ponds in, which then we'll be able to. It is BLM, completely surrounded. Like I said, the nearest private property is 2 miles away to the south. And then you go into Oregon, it's as far as you can see in the picture is probably 5 miles away. And actually, the nearest property going back into Idaho is maybe 7 or 8 miles away. Now that's going back to towards 95, which would be up in the top of that view near the hills that you see there. And yeah, up there, right up there would be where 95 is. And that road looks gravel there. It's not, it's gray. And I don't even know how they make it look brown like that. You're going to see some, and then this was taken from a drone, obviously, but you're going to see some closer views of it. And it was obviously a little wet. That's a culvert going underneath it where you saw right there. Go back one picture, Mark, to that one that was right before. right there where the fence, that's the BLM fence. Your cursor's almost, no, mine is right now. There, go angle. No, it's an angle going across the road right up there. Right there. That's the BLM fence line, and there's a cattle guard that you're just not seeing. You'd have to get down right there, and there's a culvert going underneath the road right there. The property is almost back to where the edge of this view is to the it would be to the south there. Keep going, Mark. Now you can see the two roads. You can see the Dead Horse Road and the McBride Creek. See, that rick's gravelly. It is not that gravelly. It is really very much paved. There's places where the pavement's worn away, but I don't know how they got it to look like that. That's the last of the images. So anyway, back to goats. I have wanted to do this forever, and I was not going to do it at Riggins. It's way too steep and too far away. But I want to have a herd of goats that we would then be able to bring back down into the Treasure Valley to do urban weed removal. And there's only one other business that I can find in Idaho right now. And I reached out to them, and I was hoping to get them on for this webinar, but we'll get them for another. It's called Top Goat. And it's a guy that basically has goats because he raises herding dogs to compete with. And the goats are what he uses as his animal type that he does. And he is, I guess, marketing his services. So what this involves is, so Mark, open up a site called, just do a search and look for Top Goat, and you'll see his website. But the one that's most prominent, there is a young under 30 rancher in Colorado, actually, who has a goat grazing business with where he takes his herd, and they'll take anywhere from 50 to 75 animals at a time to urban locations. And in a day, for anywhere from 250 to 1,500 an acre is the typical pricing. That's not it. That's completely, I don't have any idea what that is, Mark. That's not Top Goat. That's some person's name. That goat is also used. That's Top Coat that you got there. So goat is used as the greatest of all time. So it's not there. Yeah, Top Goat grazing. That's it. I can find this is the only operation in the Treasure Valley.
So are you seeing Top Goat now, or the
No,
others?
you've seen Top Gun, and so he's kind of using the same look of a logo for the Top Goat that Top Gun uses for the movie.
It's not.
Yeah, we're on that site, Robert. So thank you for putting that up. There's another one over in Colorado that is more prominent, and I've spoke with the fellow that runs that one, and he couldn't get away to get on with us today. But Doug, he goes all around the Denver area. His farthest client he's done is Fort Collins to the north, and he's done one in Colorado Springs to the south. He said, but most of what I can do, and that site is, let's look it up also, Mark. Let me
Wayne,
see.
are those areas they're going into are all pre-fenced, or does he have his own electric portable fencing?
He takes his own electric fence. He takes his own electric fence. The one that's in Colorado is named. This guy's listed as in the top 10 of Jordan Sarazan, and it's called Goat Brothers, Goat Bros. So GOATBROS, just put that in, you'll get the site. It's not even a space, but you'll find it. Goat Bros, Colorado. There he is. Agricultural local goat. There he is, right, that top site right there. He did 1 million in volume last year of graze. He did just 960,000, Doug.
Hmm.
So there's his fencing. There you can see what he'll.
Good model. Very
Yeah,
good business.
fencing.
Mm-hmm.
He's based in Steamboat Springs area, and he drives
Okay.
over the top to come
Oh,
down
wow.
into the Front Range.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So look at the kinds of things he'll do, vegetation control, fire mitigation, soil stabilization. I mean, all those things are really, what you can do by clearing out noxious weeds and
Thinking out of
dense.
the box.
Yeah, thinking out of the box. It really is and he's this young guy, Jordan, and his wife. So look at the about, Mark, click on the about up there, and you'll see a picture of him and his wife. Farther down the page. The pictures were above that. Those are their dogs. Now up higher, Mark, I don't know why. Their pictures are there. He went too fast. It just didn't load them. There they are. There's Jordan and Tony. So I spoke with him, and he just wasn't available today to get on with us. So we'll have him. But 960,000 is not a bad chunk of change for any kind of a farming operation run by two people in their
Yep.
20s. So
They cut their feed costs out completely.
yeah. And then, and he's got, a fifth wheel, basically converted horse trailer, where that's what we move when we went to shows all over the country, our alpacas. And you can put about 30 alpacas in a 33-foot gooseneck
Oh, wow.
trailer. And you can probably put a few more goats than that. They're about the same size, though, I think, in terms of footprint of what they'd take up space-wise. And
Yeah.
frankly, alpacas would also be a good grazing animal. And they may be as good or better than goats in some kinds of things, but they're a lot more flighty of an animal. They're a lot more emotional than a goat would be. So
Interesting.
so anyway, I did some research, and there are in the Pacific Northwest over in Oregon, there are several. There's a place there's a place called West Side Goat Goat Girl. And I didn't look them up to see where, 30 miles from Portland. So they do services all around Portland. Then there's Go Goat, Oregon, that does services in the Willamette Valley, so a variety of locations. One of the things that goats will do and I told you that what the worst weed in the Riggins area is along the salmon is blackberries. And a goat will eat blackberries and things like poison oak and other things. So
It's pretty significant. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then you don't have to use chemicals, which is what most people use for them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
And then there's another one in Oregon called Healing Hooves, and they're also over in the Willamette Valley. And then one called Northwest Grazing, and they're actually right on the border in Vancouver, near the Vancouver, Washington area. And then there's one called Bootsy Garden, which is in the Klamath County. That'd be south, the southern portion of Oregon. Then one called Juniper Hill. That actually, that one, Juniper Hill, is here in the Boise area. I did not open that website. Juniper Hill Goat Farm, Boise phone number.
There's been goats used right there at the Garrity exit on a section right there at Garrity and the interstate intersection.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they'd have 30 to 40 goats in there. Yeah, pretty interesting. Hey, Wayne, before we run out of time, I more than likely could do a presentation next Thursday.
Oh, really? This time
so-
work? Is this a good time?
Yeah, this time it'd work. I just scheduled that ahead of time, or all our guests are gone now. But if I could get on the video, I could just do just a couple minute show of what I'm going to talk about. If you'd
Do
be
it.
interested.
Right now? Sure. Do it.
Help me get my video. How do I do my video? Can I do it so it points out of the computer?
Yeah.
Some of this I'm not real
Some
savvy.
computers have it on both sides, but you probably have to turn it
Mine.
around.
Oh yeah, mine's just on this side, so I just got to turn my
You just
video
have to
on.
hold it. Yeah, I've
Yes.
done it on these where you just have it face the other way.
Okay, bear with
And
me though. How do I?
all you need to do is click on share your screen down at the bottom, and then that will be able to show
Share.
you probably.
Okay, I think I
I
need
don't
to
see-
make him. Yeah, I gotta make him a presenter. So
Okay.
I'll do
Well,
that
do that,
first.
please. Do that, please,
Yeah.
Mark.
I think it's done. So he'll be back. Okay, he's back now as a presenter. All right, now you should be able to. Okay, let's see.
Take the video off here. Start video. There you got it. Okay. All right. So I'll just take a couple minutes to show you what it looks like around here so people know
Yeah.
what's going on. Okay. Well, I'm sitting at the desk that I made. I'll have better stuff next week.
Mark,
This
put
is our
the spotlight
area.
on it now.
It's in our kitchen area, and this is the living room. Oh, there it goes. There's the
There-
living room
There it is. Yeah.
here, and the kitchen, and made this for my wife. So that's the view out our window here.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
And,
we've never seen this, everybody. This is cool.
This is our dining hall we built, and I'll explain how we build it. And we have guests for dining, and because we do guiding out of here and excursions and some special events as well. And all this we built ourselves, all these logs, a lot of logs came out of the lake. We harvest salvage logs. I just built a building in the last month that we did out of all harvested logs out of the lake. They flush out in the spring from the rivers. And so, but we get some real cool kind of logs, burls, a lot of burls.
Look at that, everybody.
And again, all those logs came out of the lake. We find them floating or on the beaches. And this is the leaves are just falling now. So it's a beautiful time of the year here. I don't know if this shows up. I'm seeing a lot of reflection here, but
Oh, we're seeing it good, Doug. It's a little bit. There's just sometimes when you get the reflection, but boy, it's a good view. When we do
Yeah,
your next
okay.
week, you can do this exact same way when just
yeah. I'll find out how far my service goes up to the other buildings above us. And so down there on the road is some logs that we just got.
So
Yeah.
what's the tide right now?
There's no
Tide-
tide here. We're 200 feet above sea level in Lake Clark National Park. And the water is actually dropping. The water comes up to right down below us here where the gravel stops and the flowers start. And it'll go up and down about 7 to 8 feet from spring to fall. And that's
Okay.
just normal here.
Okay.
And so now it's going to go, it's real shallow right here. So it's going to go out about 15, 20 feet from the end of the dock down there when it's all done in November when I come back. And but it's anyhow, we've been building on this for 18 years. And so there's a log cabin that we built from salvaged logs down there and harvested. And we repurposed some other logs and stuff from a couple log cabins that I got from somebody. And so anyhow, that's just a little overview of what it's like here. And I'll talk a little bit about the life cycle of the salmon, and because we get 400 to 800,000 salmon here in the lake coming in to spawn. And the wildlife, the bears are starting to really come in here now for the salmon right now. And so anyhow, just an overview of what it's like being up here. And we're doing ecotourism. We're starting to do some photography. People come in for photography and fishing, and just the excursions to see the waterfalls and the beautiful fauna around here.
And Doug's sons, and we haven't talked about them in a while, but we did one time. Our videographers, it's their business, so they do things all over and have their own business. But there's somebody we could even interview sometime. They got anything real exciting this summer. They work with a lot of the
man, they're literally all over the world. And Pelican Case and Loophole and Safari Club International, they do a lot of the research videos for them. You name it, Loa Boots, Oakley Glasses, you name it, all kinds of different organizations. And so, but yeah, and that kind of started here a little bit. But anyhow, that's just a little overview of what I'll show you.
We will do it. So Mark, plan on it. Next week, we're going to just mainly have Doug.
Sure.
So awesome.
No, next week we have one more. We have one guest on Wednesday. I'll show you who we have. So Wednesday, on October 2nd is Ronaldo. So he will be on at 2 on Wednesday.
Mhm.
And then you can be on. So this is my time at 2 a.m. But on Mountain Time will be 2 p.m. Wednesday, and you can be on Thursday at 2 if you would like, or 3.
No,
whatever.
it's actually 3. So it's 3, same
Yeah.
time we're doing this.
Yeah,
So,
that'll work.
all
Yeah,
right.
I'll make sure that I contact you with details and.
Yeah, and I'll send you some videos and some pictures because some of the stuff I won't be able to get from the lodge because I have Starlink, but only can go so far with it. But I'll send you pictures and background videos of what's happening and make a sequence of it so you kind of get a flow of start to finish on a presentation rather than haphazard. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you all of our guests, our audience today. And I'm going to be starting to work with Paresh over in India. We're going to really try to help them with some of the ills they've got in their farming system there. And he and I have been speaking in the last couple of weeks a couple of times. So anyway, thanks everybody. Mark, why don't you go ahead and